What's going on, everybody? Today we got ourselves a video I've been kind of wanting to do for a little bit, and since we're kind of done with the new content, Madden, 10 players that I hope are in the next Madden. Now, EA can only put them in if they get the rights and stuff, which is fine. I mean, I'm not expecting any of these guys to be in there, but these are guys I would love to be in. It's called a wish list for a reason. Wish to have them in the next game, but 10 guys I'd love to see in the next game, and at the end I'm going to do 5 Giants because I'm a Giants fan. I'd love to see some Giants in there, but we're going to do 10 regular players, so 15 total players, and yeah, so let's just jump right into it. Number 1, Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw is the guy I like to see in the game. Some of his stats are kind of iffy. You know, he has a ton of interceptions compared to touchdowns. 51% completion, I think, but he did win 4 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's had plenty of records and things like that. Twice led the league in touchdowns, so he's had great seasons. As I said, 4 Super Bowls, I mean, speaks for himself, regardless of his completion rate or whatever that may say. 4 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, Hall of Famer. Terry Bradshaw, I'd love to see him in the next one. This number 2 is Joe Namath. Now, Joe Namath, once again, is a guy, quarterback-wise, didn't have the greatest numbers, but he had some pretty outlandish ones, if you want to call it that. Other than the Super Bowl guarantee, he's a Hall of Famer. First quarterback to throw 4,000 yards in a single season, which is pretty impressive considering a lot of players nowadays still don't get to 4,000. But he was out there paving the road. Super Bowl III, the guarantee is most of people know him for. He had more picks than touchdowns, but you know, Broadway Joe. Also a bit of an actor. But yeah, Joe Namath, I'd love to see him in the game. Some of these guys Super Bowl legends, some of these guys just legends in general. I think Terry Bradshaw can be a legend. So Joe Namath can be a legend, Super Bowl legend, anything like that. But yeah, next we'll jump into a running back at number 3, Edgerrin James. Now, Edgerrin James is a guy I grew up watching a ton of times. 12,000 rush yards. Led the NFL twice in rushing. He was awesome, and then he retired right before he got himself a Super Bowl. But Edgerrin James was an awesome running man. He was tough. He was agile enough to hold his own. And those rushing numbers speak for themselves. As I said, 12,000 rush yards. It's just a dude I grew up watching, and he was a great running back. I'd love to see him in the game. Number 4, we got ourselves another Colt from that era, maybe a little bit before, Marvin Harrison, who, it's a shame he's not in the game, man. He's got so many records, so many great stats about him, and it's just a shame he's not in yet, but hopefully soon. Marvin Harrison, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner, twice led the league in yards, a total of around 14,500 yards, 128 touchdowns. And he's got plenty of records. Record 143 catches in a single season, 953 catches with Peyton Manning is the most ever, most yards ever with a single quarterback as well at 12,756 with Peyton, and the most TDs from one quarterback to one wide receiver at 112. I mean, those two were the deadliest duo of the decade, if anything. And hopefully he gets himself a spot in the game, and I'd love to see him. Number 5, we're going to switch it up. Bit of a lineman here. Jonathan Ogden, who was probably the best lineman of my generation. Probably one of the best linemen ever. He's a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion as well. And I mean, there's not too much stat-wise you can say about a lot of linemen. 11 times elected to the Pro Bowl, but he was definitely one of the best linemen in the past 15 years, if anything, ever. Jonathan Ogden, so I hope he gets in. Baltimore Raven. Hopefully we get some of these guys in. Number 6, Brett Favre. We all love Brett, don't we? We all love Brett Favre. He was tons of fun. 3-time MVP of the league, Super Bowl champ. He was just tons of fun. He just radiated this energy, and he was fun to watch, and he was quite good. Most completions ever, 6,300, which is a ton. 71,000 yards, which was just broken recently by Peyton Manning. Other than that, second. 508 total TDs. He was a great player. He did have his moments with some interceptions and stuff like that. Tried to force a few things here and there. Did have the dick pic thing, but we can move that off to the side just a little bit. But still hope he's in the game. He'd be tons and tons of fun to use. Your real gunslinger right there in Brett Favre. Number 7 is one that I kind of hope for. A lot of things happened. Sean Taylor got himself one. I'm kind of hoping Junior Seau at number 7 gets himself one. 56.5 sacks, 18 interceptions at linebackers is crazy. 1,800 tackles is also pretty crazy. Dude had a great career and a tragic end, unfortunately, to his life, but his career was also fantastic. Wishes to be celebrated, and I hope he's in the game just for the sake of being able to use an absolute legend like that at linebacker, Junior Seau. Next, we'll move on. Number 8, Howie Long. You know that dude with the glasses and the short hair on the NFL kind of stuff before NFL games. I forgot which network it is, but Howie Long, Super Bowl winner for the Oakland Raiders, played his whole career at Oakland actually. 91 total sacks at DN. 91 sacks is a great number to have. Super Bowl winner, as I said. I'm hoping he gets in. He'd be tons and tons of fun to use at the end. Number 9 for me, Mike Singletary, one of the most ferocious, intimidating linebackers ever. Played part of that Bears defense that was just dominant. Super Bowl champ, Hall of Famer. 1,500 tackles is awesome at linebacker also, man. He was a ferocious dude. People were scared of that guy at linebacker, and I'd love to use him, man. Those guys, I mean, you hear stories about that defense. I was never around to see anything about it, but you hear stories, and this Singletary guy, he sticks out in something like that, and it's just, you hope you bring him into the game. Hopefully we'll be able to use him. And number 10 is the kind of guy who wasn't, I don't know, stat-wise wasn't perfect or anything like that, but he was a dude I always loved watching, even as a Giants fan. Bryan Westbrook, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. Your definite dual threat at running back. 71 total touchdowns. He pretty much split his yardage as well at rushing and receiving. He could catch, he could run. Some injury problems later on in his career, but he was an absolute beast, man. He was tons of fun to watch, and he had his days ripping our defense apart for a while. But he was tons of fun, man. That is my ideal third down back right now in a Madden. I got my Bo Jackson right now. Him at third down back, man, coming in, catching balls, or busting up the middle for short yardage gains. He could do it all. Bryan Westbrook was the man. Hopefully he gets himself a spot in the game as well. So those are my 10. I hope to be in the next Madden. Now I'm going to go and get 5 Giants, I hope, in the next Madden. You know, I can dream a little bit. But here we got 5. Number 1, Amani Toomer. Amani Toomer was awesome, man. 9,500 yards. He was a Super Bowl champ. He was on the team. He wasn't a huge part of the team in 07, but he was on the team. 54 total touchdowns. Amani Toomer was my favorite wide receiver growing up, and you know, I hope he's in the game. Next, we got Tiki Barber. 10,500 rushing yards. 55 TDs, which was a Giants record until a couple years ago when Brandon Jacobs broke it, and 4.7 yards a carry, which over his career, which is pretty insane. That is a pretty insane number of yards per carry. But then he retired, made that comment about Eli, and then Eli and whatnot went and won a Super Bowl. So, you know, sometimes he retired probably a little bit early. He could have been a part of that, but he wasn't. And, you know, you kind of get what you get when you say things like that about our quarterback. But, yeah, Tiki Barber, I'd love to see him in the game. That'd be tons of fun. Number 3, Jeremy Shockey. Jeremy Shockey was one of my favorite players, still is one of my favorite players of all time. He was tons of fun, man. Radiating that energy, always in the game, man. You know, trying to pump everyone up, trying to really get things going. Jeremy Shockey was awesome. He won 2 Super Bowls, one with New Orleans and one with the Giants. 6,100 total yards at tight end, as well as 37 touchdowns. He was tons of fun over an 11-year career, I think it was. So, you know, I'd love to play with him again. Hopefully we get him in the game. Number 4 is Brandon Jacobs. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. I don't remember him being in the game this year, but I'd love to bring him back as a flashback card. Two-time Super Bowl champion, was champion with us both times, and he now holds the record for touchdowns for the Giants, 60 total touchdowns for the Giants, which is an immense number. He's always getting those 3rd and 1s, tough up the middle kind of gut guy. Yeah, man, I just love to I'd love to have these guys in the game. And number 5 might be a little bit shocking to some of you, but Plaxico Burress. Oh man, made the catch to beat the team in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl champ, obviously. 8,500 total yards, would have had more if he didn't shoot himself like a fucking idiot. 64 total touchdowns, would have had more if he didn't shoot himself like a fucking idiot. And we might be looking at another Super Bowl if he didn't shoot himself like a fucking idiot. We were 11-1 that year, finished 12-4, got knocked out by the Eagles in that first round. It was pretty painful after he shot himself like a fucking idiot. But Plaxico Burress, huge target. He'd be awesome with a flashback or whatever kind of card they make him. He'd be awesome with it. He'd be a huge target. He'd be tons of fun to use. But yeah, Plaxico Burress, that big fucking idiot. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave the comments down there what kind of players you'd love to see in Madden. And that's it for now, guys, though. So peace.